battle defends the survival of Christian civilization. So bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
To hear the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine growl, you know, I really challenge anybody not to stop in your tracks when you hear that. So I spent a long time in the military with the Royal Marines, had a great time. From the age of 5 onwards, I was really captured and enthused about Spitfire specifically.
We first met Scott, it was about a year ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah, it must be, yeah.
Yeah, he approached us with a part of a plane engine.
The chap who was selling it showed us around the engine. It was great. It was a crashed recovered one.
And it was completely dishevelled. I mean, it still had all the war wounds, all the bullet holes. You could tell that this had been through the war.
It was really quite in a poor state, but it was a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, not a Packard Merlin engine, which was the American manufactured one. So at that point, I knew it had to come home.
And his original idea, I think it was going to be a coffee table.
Yeah,
It was just a cool idea in itself when you saw it, but then he started telling us the story.
And then it became more of a detective story. It was a Polish Squadron Spitfire. It was very rare. It was one of the first ones to have the cannons in the wings as opposed to just machine guns to make a bigger difference to bring down a German aircraft. So it was very, very rare. Only 170 of this particular type were manufactured. And then beyond the aircraft, we found the story of the pilot and the pilots.
So the pilot was Piotr Laguna, and he was shot down over Calais.
It's 303 Squadron, the top scoring squadron of the Battle of Britain, of which 8 of the pilots of P8331, including Piotr Laguna, were veterans, and amongst them aces, the good and great of 303 Squadron.
The story is incredible. I mean, they were a massive part for winning the Battle of Britain, and they didn't get a victory parade.
No.
They were really forgotten.
And we knew nothing about this. This wasn't common knowledge. All these unheard voices and these heroes, that, you know, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And they've just never been celebrated.
It was clear that we needed to sort of think more broadly.
So it was like, how do we help you tell this story? What do we need to do?
And I knew that I had to do something more than make a coffee table.
So we had this idea to build the actual Spitfire, and we were like, okay, let's crack on. How do we get to work on that? Aviation and watches, they go hand in hand. I've done for many years, and we wanted to make a really powerful limited edition watch that tells a story.
It's a metamorphosis. So you're going from being a caterpillar to being a butterfly, and that's really been the relationship that I've had with TRIBUS, because actually for them it's been about contributing to history as opposed to just another watch in a brand.
We took the starboard arming panel from the plane with the idea of making 303 limited edition pieces.
This particular piece that we had was really quite bent and misshapen, but actually TRIBUS really surprised me with what they've managed to do in terms of rolling out that piece so it looked almost exactly the same as when it did when it into the ground in 1941.
And we've lasered out over in our Swiss factory 303 discs, which will all go in the back plate of the limited edition watch.
It was very important to us to make sure that those discs still had all its imperfections.
Yeah.
It's the actual piece of the plane. We've not sprayed it, we've not cleaned it up.
The ownership of the watch is the ownership of the story and the ability to keep this going through generations.
Own a piece of history on your wrist.
Own a piece of history on your wrist, exactly.
This particular Spitfire P8331, with its combat pedigree, will make this one of the most important Spitfire survivors and aircraft generally in the world.
Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few.